I call the meeting to order and it is 2:12. I'd like to begin with a territorial acknowledgement. We would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in the Robinson Huron Treaty Territory, and that the land in which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, specifically the Garden River and Batchewana First Nation, as well as Métis people. We'll call John Bruno and Mackenzie. Eva is absent. Archie King is here. And is absent. Chief Stevenson is here. McLaughlin. Sarah is here. And Lincoln is here. I have a candy in my mouth. Lisa, Angela, Bill, Derek, and I mentioned Sarah there. Thank you. Any conflict of interest declarations by anyone? None. Questions and information is arising out of the minutes and not otherwise on the agenda. Any questions? Ian, Marty? Hearing none. The adoption of minutes on June 29, 2023. Moved by Marchie, seconded by Ian. Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting as presented be hereby approved. All in favor? Approved. Motion to accept the agendas for September 28, 2023. Moved by Ian. Marchie, seconded. Resolved that the agenda of the regular meeting as presented be hereby approved. All in favor? Approved. Communication and reports information only. I'm going to jump over that, go to the budget because it is the biggest part of our meeting today. And we certainly want to devote as much time as possible with regard to that. And so if I may ask that we go to number 10. It's the same Police Service Board Budget 2024. Chief, could you do the introductions with Angela and how you would like
Okay,
that
sure.
presented?
Go ahead. The budget, yeah.
So we presented the 2024 budget to the Police Services Board. We have requested some new things to the budget this year, as well as taking into account any cost. As a result, we are looking at a 13.52% budget increase. This will include the action package to roll out body worn cameras and tasers and package to go with that. A downtown substation, increasing officer presence in the city, and an expansion to our dispatchers to accommodate that, and to roll out a more efficient model in our dispatch service.
Okay, any questions or comments? And I just want to break it down just a little bit further, and that is that our budget, our base budget is 6.4% increase, and the added projects that we have that Angela so discussed have increased it to 13.52. Overall, the budget is 38,956,530.99, which equals a 13.5% increase. Are there any questions or comments with regard to our budget report that we have? And Bill, you'll be getting a copy of this as well. Any questions?
I think the budget clearly indicates where we're in need of assistance, help with increasing our police services. And I think it reflects it well, you know, when we compare ourselves to other police services across the province who have also been adding to the services. But if we want protection and we want to have police safety across the city, I'm in favor of this. That's it.
Good, thank you. Marchie?
Yeah, Chief, with the increase on the budget, maybe you can speak a little bit regarding the additional staff that you'll be hiring for hopefully the substation that you're.
Absolutely. So, excellent question, Counselor. So we can see that our base budget is at 6.4 and a little higher than last year's, which was 5.3. I can tell you base budgets in policing across Ontario has went up. And some are struggling with it being, in the double digit just on the base. I think we've done our due diligence in ensuring that we've tried to keep it as low as possible. However, the addition from 6.4 to 13.5 is a result of three different initiatives. The community has been asking, politicians have been asking, people on the street have been asking, when are we going to have a downtown division? When are we going to have increased police presence in the downtown core? As chief of police, I operate under the Police Services Act, under adequacy and effectiveness. In my view, the complement that we had pre this budget was not adequate and effective. This police service was running on a buffer, had no buffer, sorry. And when we've all seen in the last 3 or 4 weeks with a number of different fatals, homicides, attempt murders, not from this community in some cases, it puts us to the point where we're going to have difficulty responding to 911 occurrences. As chief of police, my responsibility is to make sure you have adequate and effective policing on the most basic calls, which are 911 calls. The downtown division will consist of 17 officers, 4 in each platoon of 4 and 1 staff sergeant. We are currently in the process of looking for the best location, and that will evolve over time. But this presence in the downtown core will reinvigorate the community to come downtown. You're going to see police in every way, shape, or form, on bicycles, on foot patrol, in vehicles. We're going to flood the downtown core, the Queen Street, Wellington businesses, to make sure that they know those businesses. This is a 24/7, 365 operation. We've done our best to make sure that we didn't do it halfway. To run a proper division, we needed 17 bodies, and we have that before us today, and that is where the expense is. And the community will see the difference in terms of police presence and investigative assets in the downtown core and across the city when needed in other areas. And that's what I refer to as the buffer. So we're quite excited about moving towards that. I've had discussions with politicians, with the board, and I tried to have the 17 bodies moved over 3 budget years to sort of reduce the financial impact on the city and the taxpayers of this city. The second one is an Axon package, which is for years, body-worn cameras have been the discussion across many communities. Many communities actually have body-worn cameras already instituted. And as a result of that, we're going for a package that we can fund over 10 years that will increase the transparency of our organization. There'll be no place that isn't recorded. It'll allow people to see what the officer's seen at the night, in the day. It offers that technological advantage so that data can be captured immediately. It also forms part of the relationship with them, so information is recorded straight up through the system from their cameras to our court packages, etc. So it's a more efficient way of doing business, and at the end of the day, it puts us in the proper technological space where we should be as a progressive, growing police service. The third area is our communications operators. Our communication operators, you can imagine in the last year or two have been absolutely inundated. Calls for service have went through the roof, and we need 4 additional to keep that service alive in terms of dispatching calls for service. So that is a summary of the 3 additional areas that took us from 6.4 to 13.5. Thank you.
Any comments or questions, Marchie?
I'll do a comment. Thank you, Chief. I do understand the substation for the downtown area. You are correct. Politicians, residents, taxpayers, always had concern about the Queen Street, and with the presence of the 17 officers in a 3-year span, I think it's very important. Just reading an article, Timmins, Ontario, they hired a private company, and they say the results are good. I think having our own police presence downtown, and hopefully these 16 officers won't be strictly the downtown. Hopefully they do hit other areas of the city when they are called. The Axon full package is very, very important. We're one of the few police services without body cameras and the phones, and I think it's very, very important. And then also the communication operators, more phone calls are coming in, and we need more people to handle these calls. So unfortunately, it is an increase of 13.52, but I think it's required. And if we didn't include this, you would have probably looked at a 6.4% increase. As the chief has mentioned, most police services are having a 10% plus increase. So I think we're within range, anyways, to keep the operations going here. Thanks.
Thank you, Marchie. Ian, did you have any questions or comments?
No, all I do is adding to what Marchie said to a certain extent. We need additional policing. We've known that for some time, and now we're putting it forward now to council of politicians. We want a bigger presence in the downtown. We're going to have a situation where we have a downtown central command, but those additional 17 police officers are not just going to be servicing the downtown. Yes, there'll be a much bigger presence. Yes, you'll see a lot more police officers down there, and we need it for the safety of our downtown. But these officers will be used citywide, not just for the downtown. Good.
And thank you, Ian. And I just want to say that it's an exciting time in the sense that Sault Ste. Marie is getting what it deserves. And it's a time when we have to reflect on the future as well. The future of the Axon project is something very important, and in the future will help our policing in our community because it's moving on with the future. Having said that, there's never a good time to increase budgets, never. And you know what? There's always controversy that creates from that, but we are resolved in the fact that we think that this is the best way to move, and we are committed to improving Sault Ste. Marie and the policing force, which we have a wonderful force, and we want to continue to have that wonderful force in Ontario and Sault Ste. Marie so that we're up to date. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? There's no other questions, and I just want to reiterate that the process has gone through a finance committee. The process has been discussed. The process has been discussed many times. The presentations have happened many times. So it's not like we're doing this like today. It's a process that has gone on for the past 3 or 4 months, maybe more. You know, I remember discussing some of this last winter with some of the projects that we are looking at. So at some point they have to come to fruition, or you take them off the agenda. And we finally have come to that point where we are putting it on the agenda and approving it. So thank you for that as well. So going back to the agenda, Chief, after all of that, going back to the information items. Oh, yeah, we should have the resolution. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sarah, do you want to read that?
I don't have the
Oh,
number
you
in
don't
front
have
of
it
me,
there?
John, sorry.
Okay, no problem. I have it right there.
Number 10.
But that's the problem. Sault Ste. Marie Police Board Budget 2024, moved by Marchie, seconded by Ian. Be it resolved that the board approves the 2024 budget as presented in the amount of 38,956,530.99. The 2024 budget as presented in the amount, and I mentioned that, sorry, being a 13.5 increase over 2023, pending finalization of salaries and benefits. All in favor? Approved.
Just just a question, it's a being a, you said 13% increase over 2023. Okay, I see, over.
Is that correct, or did I?
No,
13.5
Over, being in addition to.
in addition to,
to 20. Okay, fair enough.
in addition to, I think, are you all good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you all for that. So now if we can go back to the
Sorry, John, just one more motion.
The capital reserve budget,
yes,
item number 11.
number 11. Capital reserve request. Angela, can you just brief description of what that is? So that,
So built into our budget every year, we put aside money to be used in the future for large projects. We also had a surplus in 2022, so we were able to put that money aside for larger projects. So in order to bring our base budget in at a 6.4% increase this year, we're asking to have two items funded from that capital reserve. One being the first year of the digital evidence management project, in the amount of $180,000, and the second being a replacement bomb robot for the explosive disposal unit, in the amount of $210,000, for a total of $390,000 being requested from the reserve.
question or comment?
So currently the bomb robot we have now is over 40 years old. And it's clearly not adequate and effective to allow our officers to manage those scenarios. In addition to the fact, I see it as an officer safety issue if we don't have the best equipment for them to take down these dangerous situations. In terms of the evidence management DEM stuff, that was already discussed at previous board meetings in terms of the fact that the province of Ontario offset the cost by
Bill, 45% for all officers for the first year for licensing.
so 45% for the first year. So it was clearly, that was the way to go. And then that's where digital evidence management is in the cloud-based approach. It's all part of our technological increase to the organization with cameras, and the DEMS project, and basically reporting processes in the organization can be streamlined using technology, not hiring more FTEs to do that work that's laborsome and doesn't get data out quick enough to both the Crown's office and to governance. Thank you.
Questions or comments? Be it resolved that the board approves the capital reserve request for $390,000 to be funded by the police capital reserve for the first year of the digital evidence management DEMS implementation in the amount of $180,000 and the EDU bomb robot in the amount of $210,000. All in favor? Approved. Now we can go back to
Your appointment, I think maybe number 9. Did you want to do that, sir?
oh, yeah.
So, I'm always thinking of you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Maybe Chief, I'll let you do number 9.
Oh, okay. Notice of reappointment, Mr. John Bruno has been reappointed as a member of the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service Board for a period of 3 years, effective August 17th, 2023.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chief, when I read this, I didn't understand who this Andy Bruno was, but I did get clarification.
Did you? Somebody changed his name overnight? or what?
It's a
From
long
here on
story.
in, it's Andy.
It's a long story.
Okay, Marcy?
For
From here
another-
on in, it's Andy.
Yeah, apparently he's a football player.
Thank you very much. number. Anything else before I go to information items, Sarah?
Nope, we're good for that.
We're good. Okay, we're jumping around, so I apologize for the jumping around. Communication and reports, information only. Chief?
Okay, basically, you can see the board account ledger. Nothing has been added to that, according to Angela, so that is consistent from month to month. I'll take you to the overtime. So the overtime costs, this is for June, July, and August. So you can see down the left column, we went from 77,000 overtime in June, which was down from May, that was 110, but we jumped up to 120 in July and then 123 in August. When we look at the running totals to the right column there, you see this time last year we were 684. This year we're 780, and there were increases in the previous 2 months. We've had 12 major occurrences during this 3-month period that were very violent offenses in all across the city. And as a result of that, as well as annual leave issues, a lot of overtime is expended. Remember, in these major occurrences, it's an all hands on deck. You have 24 to 48 hours to protect your crime scene, get your evidence, get it produced so that we have an effective presentation in court. So definitely we have a number of occurrences over that time period that justify the increase from overtime. I will suggest that budgets will not be as heavy on overtime in the future, simply because we'll have the FTEs on the street to be able to respond to calls for service as regular part of their duties and not overtime. Second slide Lincoln's going to put up is the 3-year monthly staff shortage overtime costs. Again, in 23 for June, we were at 35, then we went down to 31, and then we're up to 39 in August. And that again reflects the fact that a lot of occurrences, people being called in on overtime to deal with these major occurrences. Next slide, more or less, is consistent with that. You can see April, we were at 7,000, May 13, but then June and July and August, we jumped right, basically doubled over those 3 months. And again, hopefully additional FTEs to the overall complement of the service will mitigate those costs. We'll still have overtime, but we will not, I hopefully have this amount. So these savings can be put into your general budget. So you'll have less overtime, but you're paying for more straight time. We go to the next one, which is the 18% increase in court time. You know that over the court systems were a little bit slow over the COVID time period. A lot of them are being put before the courts for a variety of the Jordan decisions to fall within the right timelines. So there is an increase of 18% on overtime in court. That would be my presentation of the stats.
Any questions?
Pretty straightforward, no?
We'll move into use of force statistics. It's on your screen. When we're looking at June and July, we went from 4 incidents in June to 8. In July, the number of reports went from 4 to 14, and firearms pointed between 2 to 7, which is concerning, as well as use of conducted energy weapon from 2 to 6 over July. We go to, and you can see the incidents there described. Look at public complaints. We can see that in 2023 up until in June, there was 11 new complaints there before you. The big piece that I look at, and I'll let Deputy speak to that, total number of complaints this time last year was 30 and 46 this year. So there has been an increase. But Bob will speak to the number of unsubstantiated in that. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Skipping right to like page 2, you can see that there is in the new report, there's 11 new complaints to the OIPRD. It's interesting to note, though, however, that when I go through this current status of these 11 complaints, 9 of these complaints have been ruled unsubstantiated, closed, or not proceeded with by the OIPRD, and 2 of them are currently under investigation. So the significance of that is that that's a pretty consistent pattern that we have with these. Where people express their concerns to the OIPRD, and then we do an extensive investigation, and quite often the results are unsubstantiated, or the OIPRD decides not to proceed and closes the complaint. A little bit alarming to see a 30% or 30 increase to 46 this year. I think that's indicative a little bit of that agency become more well-known to the public, and they're making use of it, which is a good thing. The odd time we will look at a complaint and discover, although there was no misconduct, that it may be something that we can improve upon in terms of training or policy. So with that comment, Chief, I'll leave it there.
Thank you.
Marty,
Question, would, out of these 11 complaints, would any of them be duplicated, like from the same person?
That's a great point. Thank you for that. There are some people who are continuously complaining either about the same issue because they weren't satisfied with the result, or continue to call the police on a consistent basis and be unsatisfied with what the ultimate decision was by the officers who did the investigation, and thereby continue to complain to the OIPRD. An investigation is done in every single case and comes up unsubstantiated, or the OIPRD decides not to proceed. So that's very true. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
any new business? Seeing none? Any other final comments? None. Next meeting date is October 26th, 2023. Adjournment time is 2:39. We will go into caucus right after this, and certainly Chief and Deputy, please take care of the media and any. It's good to finish the couple items. Mover to adjourn, Ian, seconder, Marchie. The regular meeting is adjourned, and the board re-enter the caucus meeting.